Hey guys, and welcome back to Pokémon Colosseum. I'm sorry, the snapping, it feeds my soul with its purity. Anyway, it's not that funny, shut up, laugh track, Mick Laugher guy. We are going through the Hideout, as Flame calls it. You could also call it the Shady Cipher Hideout, if you wanted to sound like you're titling a YouTube video. Alright, we've got a bit of a Larvitar, and we've got a bit of a Barboach action. Who the fuck uses a Barboach in this day and age?
This guy, apparently. I will say one of his Pokemon there is much cooler than the other one, and I'm not talking about the fucking Barboach. Yeah, but Larvitar, I actually do really like its line in general. Like, Tyranitar's obviously fucking cool. Pupitar's a little bit the awkward middle one. But Larvitar, I remember there was that little arc where Ash had one following him around in the anime and that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we're leading up to the thing where it's like a screenshot of him holding it, and then there's like Larvitar's weight with an arrow pointing to Ash and the words "very strong" on it, like some kind of YouTube clickbait thumbnail.
No, but if you want to make some easy money, then think about it.
I think Kato missed a trick, actually. You should collaborate with him on making the thumbnails, Flame. We really need those YouTube ad books.
No, I'm not enabling you turning into literal fucking trash, okay?
Well, too little, too late, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm my own brand of trash. My trash just isn't profitable. That's the difference.
Carv and Ha. I can't pronounce this fucker's name.
Carvana.
Thank you. Oh, of course. Like Piranha. I get it. How the fuck does this thing evolve into a shark?
It just sort of does. Like, they both live in similar areas of water, so I guess they're related now, apparently.
I mean, bears live in similar related areas to us. I don't evolve into an Ursaring.
Well, maybe if you don't shave for a while, you might.
Well, that must be low test. Like, you have to have high testosterone levels to evolve into an Ursaring these days.
Yes, you're just admitting to being a soy boy. Got it. You walked straight into that one, I'm sorry.
Soy boy count 2, I think you're fine. By the way, I'm using these terms ironically. Flame, not so much.
Well, I mean, like, it's fucking funny, so why wouldn't I?
Cook is a funny word. It's got a sharp sound at the end, and people use it wrong. I'm hilarious. Alright, what else we got here? There's another Jiren in the background.
Yes. I will say there are a lot of bites, a lot of fights in it. You can tell when mine's suddenly gone to food. But also, you know how you were bringing up weird-ass fish turning into a shark? How about fish turning into a bloody octopus?
Good question, yeah.
Well, I think originally Auxiliary had a more tank-like design. Did you know, Pokemon?
Yes, I did, because Rubber Raid was initially going to be more like a gun, and then Auxiliary was more like a tank, so it made a bit more sense. But then they decided, no, that is not going to sit well with anybody, so let's not do that.
Rubber Raid reminds me of this one Beast Wars Transformers figure, where it's like a shark, or either a shark or a manta ray. No, a shark, and it like opens up into like some kind of manta ray looking thing.
Oh god, I remember those sorts of toys. Like, I definitely had quite a few Digimon ones. The one that I mostly remember is Flamedramon, which you had him in his egg, and then sort of you could move him out, and he became Flamedramon. It was brilliant.
Oh, that was his name, Cyber Shark. Yeah, he was a Maximal. He was a Hammerhead Shark as well. Oh, Hammerhead Shark, my absolute favourite type of shark.
They're pretty cool, although they look really, really doofy.
Well, what can I say? I feel a kinship with the goofy lookiness, given that I'm literally Quasimodo IRL.
I have no idea where this conversation is going, and I'll let you just carry on with it.
Really, the best commentaries don't really have, like, a well thought out plan. You just speak, and if it makes coherent sense, more power to you, really.
Yeah, that's basically my method as well, and considering there is going to be a metric butt-ton of battles during this hideout, I think that's all we're going to get away with, because one of the things that Colosseum does suffer with sometimes is that you just spend so much time battling that you suddenly just go, oh, can I just go maybe catch a Pokemon now, like regular wild battle?
The problem there, Richie, I think you've basically summed up my issues with Colosseum in a nutshell. To catch a Pokemon, you have to be in a trainer battle. to advance the story, you mostly have to be in a trainer battle, which is fine. That's the conceit of Pokemon. You catch and battle pocket monsters. But there's not much freedom, which makes the game feel very claustrophobic. Now, if you prefer that more linear style, that's fine. Even as much as I love Sun and Moon, I would say that's more akin to Colosseum than any like pre-gen 6 or 7 game is. It's just personal preference on my part, really.
Well, I think what's making this really apparent here is that so many of these battles are mandatory ones. Like, I think this one I'm fighting here is the only optional one in this like entire area, like this entire hideout, and that's just because I want the item that's behind him. I don't even know where it is. I just took a gamble, hoping it's something good here. But like, because in most games, like, you can do like a few battles on the routes that are mandatory, and then the other ones you can sort of go and fight at your leisure.
Yeah.
Whereas if you want to carry on here, like, you've got to just plough through all of these, and it's like a lot of games have like an end game gauntlet thing, like with Victory Road and whatnot. Whereas it's like every section of this is a gauntlet that you just got to fight everyone, and it makes even the most basic of quests and story points and that feel like a long drawn out segment of it.
Yeah, speaking of Victory Road, by the way, I gotta say, in like, I think it was Ultra Sun and Moon, when they enhanced like the final cave section to actually have like block puzzles and like more trainers and such, I was really taken aback, because if there's one thing I don't really feel Gen 7 does enough of, it's environmental like traversal stuff outside of ride Pokemon. Because you'll complain about like block pushing puzzles and like, oh, I need this HM to go up here and blah 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 blah. But when you miss it, you suddenly realise that that made up a very big portion of the Pokemon formula for games and whatnot.
Yeah.
So when you take that out, it's a bit more of a much shallow experience. It's not bad per se, but it loses a bit of the bite.
Well, there's that, but then there's also the other side of it, like I did during one of my Fire Red runs, where I got deep into Seafoam Islands before remembering I didn't pick up the Strength HM from that guy in. So I had to go all the way back out and go back to him, and then go all the way back down to, I think it's like the 3rd level of Seafoam where you need the HM. So yeah, that was a bit of bad like planning on my part there.
Oh, flame.
I think really what the Pokemon series needs is it needs a sort of middle ground. It needs to have more of those environmental puzzles, but as easy to access as they are in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. Just because even though some of them were kind of mostly simple block pushing puzzles or like the ice sliding puzzles or whatever, they were still fun-ish to participate in, and it just gave you other stuff to do other than battling. And I mean, I think part of the reason why Colosseum suffers perhaps more than a lot of other Pokemon games is because it is that it's double battles, and double battles inherently take longer than single battles because you've got 2 Pokemon on the field at all times.
Yeah.
So you've got to go through sort of 2 sets of menus to get anything to happen, and that obviously does just add up. But obviously in other games, because you've got those other environmental puzzles, you can spend more time just outside of battle, and therefore they don't feel as overbearing.
I think one thing that makes the double battles feel a lot slower as well is also that because there's the 2 Pokemon out in the field, you don't have the shift mechanic that you have on by default with the single battle Pokemon games. So like, you can't really as easily think in terms like type effectiveness, because like normally when you're going through a dungeon in a regular Pokemon game, like you see the thing come up that like this trainer's about to send out, like, say, I don't know, fucking Geodude, and then you think, okay, let's send out the water type, and it just makes the whole thing go a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Now I know some people turn that off as a kind of challenge mode thing, which fair enough, like it's a self-imposed challenge, but like on a casual run that is something that really speeds up the process of battling a lot. And like not having that, I know it would be kind of awkward to have that in a double battle setting, and it would possibly make it too easy, like depending on how it goes. But like it does really stand out that that's the mechanic that's missing here.
Flame, what would you say is your least favourite style of battle in Pokemon? In fact, I'm going to like bring up styles of battle in Pokemon.
Okay, what is that one in Gen 7 where like it cooks your 3DS? Because that sort of sucks.
Battle Royale.
That's the one. Like, I think any of the ones where it's like excessive amounts of Pokemon on the screen, just because it like really slows down everything. I know there were like triple battles in some of the other games as well.
Well, no, not some. One, from what I recall, which was Gen 5, I want to say. Yeah, Black and White, those ones. So yeah, you have Battle Royale, Triple Battle and Rotation Battle of the 3 weird Pokemon battle type things. I'd say, yeah, probably my least favourites are Rotation Battles and Battle Royales.
Yeah, same. If only just could have been like cock-blocked by them switching out to like a thing I can't attack at the very last second, which is the point of the mode, but I'm already trying to get to the end of the Pokemon battle to like advance the story or explore the lovely sprite-ridden environment, you know?
Yeah, like, and then there's also some other kind of gimmicky ones. Like Gen 3 had the contest battles as well, which were their own kind of things. Well, they weren't really battles, they were just displays. But then there's also things like in Gen 6 they had that weird like soaring battle. You know, where Sky Battle, I think it was.
Yeah,
called.
Sky Battles. I took part in maybe 1 or 2 of those, and I wasn't very good. That's not really why I didn't bother with them. It's mostly because that would require me to have something that can fly in my team, and, you know, I would just have like a HM slave at that point.
Yeah, I think that was the issue with those particular battles, was because it was always just Pokemon that can fly, but you didn't necessarily always have one of them on your team, or you only had like one of them on your team, which immediately makes a Sky Battle that much more difficult and frustrating to actually deal with. And from what I recall also, a lot of those trainers were a lot harder than probably a lot of the other trainers on the field, so they just ended up being more frustrating than anything else.
I've got to just point out Dojio's fucking animation there when he got back up. He looks so awkward, like the way his legs spring forward and that. Like, it's almost like what I compare that to is like when you got one of them plastic rulers, you bend it back and it snaps into place. That's how his animation was just then. Basically, yeah. But yeah, with the Sky Battles, like, that wasn't so much my reasoning for disliking them. I just wasn't really a fan of it being that gimmicky and having to use the flying one. But like, I did have the Charizard on my team in my original X run, so it wasn't a case of not having a powerful flying type. It's just I don't like battles that arbitrarily limit me.
I get it. Just before we finish here, I believe one of Ash's Pokemon in the XY anime actually evolved during a Sky battle. Yeah, his Fletchling basically tanked a Talonflame's Fire Blast and evolved into Fletchinder.
Oh, nice. I never really did watch much of the XY anime, which I do kind of want to at some point, because like, my friend Stephen, Chaos Vengeance, he showed me a few of the battle scenes from XY, and like, the animation in that series in particular is so fucking good, because like, that was the generation where they moved away from just the fixed static shots, and they moved to a 3D camera style of animation, and it just makes all the impact shots and that, and particularly the build-ups where you see them power up their moves, it just makes that look so much more dramatic, which is so much more intense for a battle.
Very much so, mate.
I mean, I think, who was it? There was a video I was watching the other week, I think, which effectively explained some of the issues that people have with the Pokemon anime. And it's basically Black and White, I think, killed off a lot of people's interest, because it was that whole idea of resetting Ash to being just your bog standard 10-year-old, and Pikachu lost to like the most ridiculous things ever. Was it a Snivy or something?
Yeah, he lost to not just any Snivy, but the baby Snivy that the professor had that she was going to give out to a newbie.
And then obviously you had the whole Iris thing being like, oh, stop being such a kid. And then when it came to X and Y, I think, from what I can gather, they switched back to slightly more experienced Ash and actually making intelligent decisions.
Yeah, Chad Ash versus the virgin fucking best wishes Ash.
Yeah, and I think that what ended up then happening is people sort of weren't too fond, like they were in it, but because they'd lost so many people from the Black and White anime, they were never able to quite bring it back up, and then, you know, they obviously made him lose in the league again, so people were just really pissed off.
I call it the post-season 6 Doctor Who effect. Less and less people kept tuning in.
Yes, definitely.
my biggest issue with Best Wishes wasn't necessarily Ash being a pussy, it was more the fact that it was just bloody boring.
I think there was that as well.
It feels like they completely killed off all the comic relief stuff that kind of kept Pokemon interesting for a while. Because let's be real, like Pokemon anime has never been the most like well-developed thing, but like they had a lot of like comic goofy moments to kind of keep your interest going. And then when they started like making the Team Rocket trio like less of comic relief characters at the start of Best Wishes, and they sort of like would go entire episodes without anything particularly funny or interesting happen, and like it became just another generic kids anime. And like I just sort of lost interest there. And then the like post-League arc, the Decalore Islands arc, that was just like, it had a bit of promise with the episode end stuff, but outside of that, it was just like nothing happened really.
This is all kind of going over my head. I forget when I stopped watching the anime. I think it was partway through season. Well, it was partway through the Hoenn stuff. I don't know. I just kind of checked out and just stuck to playing the games really.
Yeah, I think for me it was probably Battle Frontier time, but I think that was just because that was the point where I was moving out of the age of watching a lot of kids' TV, and so I just wasn't really around to watch it, and was just like, to be honest, I'm not really that fussed, so
See, I really did like the Hoenn arc. I think Hoenn actually fixed up the main problem that Johto series had, because Johto was like very filler heavy, and that was because at least in my opinion, what I think was going on is that the dynamic of Ash, Brock and Misty, it kind of outstayed its welcome. Like, Misty and Brock didn't really have any goals, so the entire plot drive was Ash and the gym badges and that. And so like when Ash wasn't fighting a gym battle, nothing was happening. Whereas with Hoenn, and again in Sinnoh, they kind of redid the same thing, but having the contest arc going alongside the gym arc, that kind of meant there was always like a certain goal being worked towards, or like a certain kind of tournament or just some kind of contest or something going on that, like, you want to see a certain character on the team win and get better and all that. So there was less just dead air, because although there was obviously going to be filler with the kind of serious Pokemon needs, they got to drag out to the next generation. I'd rather the characters actually be doing something rather than the usual formula of Ash meets this person has a problem, they fight Team Rocket, boom, episode done.
Yeah, basically. This is why I think they should have changed protagonists, starting with Johto and whatnot. Have Gold and Silver, or like Gold and Krista do their thing, and then, we move on to Brandon and May, and then so on and so forth. But I get what brand recognition is, so they have to stick with Ash Ketchum.
Well, I don't think it's Ash as much, it's Pikachu. Because Pikachu is like the marketable little fuck, and they need an excuse for him to show up on the front of like every fucking film poster and every DVD box and whatnot. So yeah, like I think they kind of invested too much stock in that in Gen 1.
Yeah.
And so like I think Hoenn in itself, because of how much they changed up then, even while keeping Ash, that did shed a few people who were invested in the original series. So I think if they just replaced Ash entirely, that would have been like game over for them to a certain degree.
I think probably by that point it was. If they had perhaps done it for Johto, then they probably wouldn't have had that initial... They might have had a few people drop off, but Pokemon series as a whole maybe hadn't fully cemented itself in popular culture entirely. I mean, it kind of had, but maybe not quite so much. But once you've had two full... Well, it was more than two full seasons worth, because Johto was split up into, like... Was it 3 series? And obviously you had the Orange Islands League as well in between. So, like, you'd had quite a lot by the time we reached the end of Johto. Like, it was numerous years of Pokemon, so you'd kind of... By that point, Ash and Pikachu and stuff were pretty much... That was what you were carrying forward. I think another way that they might have potentially fixed things is by actually going with Ash aging.
No, we can't have that. Oh,
I know we can't have that because, oh my god, cartoon characters aging. Like, oh my god, it's not okay. But I think that would have actually made for a more interesting show. And I think that if you perhaps had Ash aging and then introduced some of the other characters and had Ash eventually over time become a mentor figure, then you might have a bit more of a way of more fluidly creating the show's narrative arcs, and also it would perhaps solve some of the issues of Ash losing at every bloody league possible.
Oh man, the XY one was like particularly egregious. Like, you couldn't have just given him one win, just one. You made up an OC to cook him out of the fucking victory.
Yeah, I think that's also part of the reason why people then got pissed off with Sun and Moon, is just like, XY, from what I can remember seeing in that video, like, it was the smartest moves Ash had ever made in any type of any series of the anime. Had like a really solid team by the end, and yeah, then just got completely blitzed out by random OC Makosi with... That was the year when it was multiple legendaries, wasn't it?
No, that was Sinnoh.
Oh no, that was Sinnoh.
Yeah, I'm talking about Elaine with like his Charizard.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that one at all. But still, him losing at that one was pretty much like a... Seriously, he's done everything right at this point, and you still can't let him win? What's wrong with you?
That was... I know I mentioned this in an earlier part, but like the Sinnoh one, it was just horrible pacing, because they dragged out the gym badges, the last two, so long, and then they realised that they've only got a few weeks left. Fuck it, rush for League.
Oh, God.
Which I guess is another reason why the transition into Black and White left such a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, because it's like we've just had what looked like a kind of promising season, and then that just like they've thrown it all out the window, and now we're just back to square one.
The only positive part of that random dude, Tobias, I think his name was, coming in and, you know, cooking Ash out of a victory, is that there's this really cute webcomic called I Dated a Magmagron or something. Don't worry.
Oh, yes!
It's safe for work, don't worry. I'm not, like, recommending a fucking hentai or something. And there is one point where the Magmagron herself and there's, like, an Aquagron as well are both, like, fighting in a contest, and they both get beaten by, like, a female version of Tobias at the last second.
Cool, I guess.
I remember that webcomic. Yeah, I do remember that, and I do remember it actually being really good.
That's my anecdote, and the part's almost over now. Wow, we covered a lot of ground in this part, like criticisms for Colosseum as a whole, like stuff about the games, basically.
Solving the Pokemon anime.
Well, we weren't the first person or people to bitch about cartoons or anime for like 20 minutes plus at a time. Don't worry, we're not gonna make a fucking opinion piece video just yet. This is why Pokemon sucks. You shouldn't watch it. No, none of that.
Oh god, no. Like, if you enjoy it, watch it, enjoy it. We don't care.
Sun and Moon's a fun anime. Like, I can't get Helldragon to watch it with me to save my life, but it's cool.
What put me off that was the art style. Like, I know a lot of people really like the redesigns, so they just don't gel with me at all. It's probably because it's so simple compared to the X and Y art style that it just feels like a step back to me.
Yeah, you're one of those, Flame.
Yeah, well, I like my anime to look good.
Brutal!
I get the concept behind the redesigns of they wanted the characters to be more easy to animate dynamically. The problem being that means that they're overly simple, and in certain parts it almost looks like a gaijin cartoon, and I'm not cool with that at all.
I know what you're referencing. I swear to God, if you actually name it, I will kick you out of this call.
Okay, I'll just refer to it as the Tumblr trash then, there you go.
Ah, Stefan Galactic. Nice. Oh god, is this fucking hideout done yet?
Nope! We are here for a very, very long time. Like, even... well, I mean, I think technically the hideout is sort of done in the next part-ish, but really we're in a long string of dungeon that ends sort of at the end of Pyrite, and that's going to take us to the end of the recording sessions. Yay! Oh god, it's going to drive us nuts.
Nah, I've done worse. Like, I did Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Well, Ultra Sun and Sun. So I covered basically the same game twice. It's fine. I'm used to repetition in Pokemon, and I'm steadily losing control of my words. So this part needs to hurry up and conclude.
Just conclude. Cease.
Oh, I'm gonna conclude.
Do not ever say that ever again.
It's a Game Grumps joke. I was just trying it on for size.
Yeah, well, it didn't work. I'm sorry to disappoint.
No, it's fine. The more disappointment I have in the life, the more in check I am kept. You turned the tables, Flame. You won. Now you are the bodybuilder.
I'm still lanky and small. It doesn't quite work like that.
Oh, he who defeats the muscles becomes the muscles. All this and more next time on Pokemon Colosseum.